Don't you want your NPC a little bit more advanced than before? That's able to see you if you are actually in front of the NPC, and if there's a part between you two, they can't see you no more. Well, if you do, stick to the end of this video and you can achieve just that. One thing to note before we begin is we can adjust and change the collisions between certain parts that's in different groups. As you can see, we have three parts here: the base part, the blue part, and the green part. Now, one thing to note, you notice that there's collision editor on the left side of the screen. To get that, you go to module, go all the way to the right to advance, and then click collision group. Everything would always be in default once you add a new group, but the more you add, the more you can change what change and collide with what. Now in this case, the bottom part is cube, and these parts is called part. Now, as you can see, the check mark between the two is off. That's because we don't want these parts colliding with whatever this part is in. So we don't want the part group colliding with the cube group. And because of that, we're able to make it where they're able to go through it even if collision and can collide is on. As you can see, I have all of it selected and can collide is on. So if we go run the game, you'll see it fall straight through. Great. With that instead, we can make it where only the player can go through certain parts and the NPC can't. Now with that out of the way, you can already go tell that the first script that we made in the first video is somewhat similar to the second script that we're going to make, but there's going to be a few changes. Okay, now for us to begin, let's acknowledge the fact that I have a new script. Yes, we can build off on the first script from the first video that I've made, posted on screen here, or we can just somewhat start over and manipulate it. So we're gonna do that one first. So let's go ahead and get the variables and everything that we need for the script. Starting with the top. Local physics service equals game get service physics service. That's basically handling the physics of the game. Next to the variables, so local path equals game colon get service pathfinding service colon create path. You know what that is, creating a path for the NPC or whatever it may be. Local run service equals game colon get service run service. Future Zik here. Actually, you don't need the run service in this script. So if you want, go ahead and delete the run service in your script. It has no effect. I don't know why I put that there. I just forgot. But yeah, back to the video. And other variables for this NPC. Starting with the character. So local this character equals script.parent. This root equals this character colon wait for child human root part. This humanoid, this hum equals this character colon wait for child humanoid. Now we're gonna have a debounce. So local debounce equals false, and we're gonna have three variables that are nil that plays a role later on, which is local possible target, local last distant check, and local target. You don't have to put equal nil, but I put it there just to make it easier to read. Lastly, we're going to get our distance and kill distance. Local distance equals 100 and local kill distance equals 5. Okay, now let's get straight to the main code. First, we're going to go ahead and assign all the base parts inside an NPC straight into a collision group. So local NPC equals NPC. Funny, right? Now, for IV and pairs, script.parent colon get children do. We're going to loop through the whole NPC's Now, if V is a base part, which is everything, basically, then v.collision group equals NPC. Now we're going to do physics service colon register collision group, NPC. We're registering all the base parts that's inside the NPC group, and then we're going to register it. Now automatically, this goes straight into check marking all the collision groups when you create a new one. So do keep that in mind. Now we're gonna do a walk random. Similar to the first video as shown on screen, it's actually gonna be a tad bit different. So we're gonna get the X random position, Z random position. We're gonna make the goal. So from the root and all the way to the random vector 3 position, we're gonna commute a path. So path colon commute async or compute async this root.position and going straight to goal. Then we're gonna do waypoints. So local waypoint equals path colon get waypoints. Then we're gonna loop through each waypoint. So for IV and pairs, waypoints do this human colon move to v.waypoint. And then we're gonna do debounce equals false. What this does, so whenever we do call this function, we're gonna have it check beforehand if the debounce is false, then make it true, then we're gonna call this function. And then when this function runs, we're gonna make debounce false again. Now for the next function, local function raycast parentheses argument is possible hit. Now possible hit equals workspace colon find first child possible hit. We're gonna make array. Local array equals raycast params.new. Ray.filter descent equals table script.parent inside the table. Ray.filter type equals enum.raycast filter type.exclude, and ray.ignore water equals true. What this does is we're making parameters for the ray, and then whatever the ray hit, descendant instance of the script.parent. So if it hits any of the child of the NPC, so like the left foot, arm, chest, head, whatever, then we're gonna ignore it because the filter type is exclude, so we're ignoring that. And ignore water, this is mainly for terrain. So if it does hit water, do we want to ignore it or not? In this case, yes, we're gonna ignore it. Now, next line, ray equals workspace, colon, raycast, this root.position, comma, position.human root part.position subtracted by this root.position.unit times it, same thing, but dot magnitude. You don't have to worry too much about this. This is basically making it where it's shooting from the origin, so the NPC's position, all the way to the humanoid position. I had to do it like this because if I just do humanoid root part.position, then it's slightly off. I don't know why, but this seems to fix it. Next, we're gonna do if ray instance is a descendant of possible hit. So the instance is whatever it hits. So if it is a descendant of possible hit, then then continue. Target equals possible hit. Then make the base plate color green. Then return true. Else, if it's not a child or a descendant of possible hit, then return false. Make the base plate red. Target equals nil. Then we're gonna check the debounce is false. If it's false, then make it true. Then make it walk random. Like I said beforehand, we're checking if walk random is set to true, then making it back to false. Now for the next function is we're gonna get the closest player. So local function get closest player, which we're gonna loop through the workspace for IV and pairs, workspace get children, and then checking if each value that we checked, that we went through, checking if it has a humanoid root part. If so, they're gonna check if that humanoid parent is a player. So if if game.players colon get player from character v, so if it's a player, then continue. If we have a possible target, then we're gonna continue. If not, then the first one that we loop through, which is the first player's character, then we're gonna check if the NPC's position subtracted by the player's position is in the distance, then we're gonna make them the possible target. And then last distant check is their position. Then making the possible target equals their character. Else, if we do have a target, then we're gonna check if they're also in the distance for the NPC. Then have last distant check, also checking if their position, and then making them the possible target. Lastly, we're gonna get the field of view. So local function FOV parameters argument is subject. Local possible hit equals workspace colon find first child subject. We're gonna find whoever subject is inside workspace. Then we're gonna check if they're in sight. So raycast toString subject, which is shooting a raycast from the NPC's position all the way to their position. And short. If they are in sight, then get the player. If not, then return. Lastly, we're gonna go ahead and make a while loop. So while task.wait do. We're gonna check if the NPC's health is not 0, then continue. Else, if it is, break the loop. Now we're gonna get the look vector. Local look vector equals this root.cframe.look vector. If you don't know what that is, that's basically just getting the look vector, literally. Like wherever the NPC is looking at, we're gonna also look that way. Next, we're gonna get the player. To get closest player, if player, then player position equals workspace, find first child, player.name. Human root part, get the position. If we have a player position, then we get the distance. So player position subtracted by this root dot position, make it to a unit, a whole number. And we're gonna convert it into a dot vector. So, a dot product. Local dot product equals distance, colon, dot, look vector. If we do have a dot vector or dot product, then dot product, checking if it's greater than or equal to 0.3. Or if we have a target. If we do, get the field of view and put the player inside the field of view as a subject. Else, if the dot product is less than 0.3 or a target is equal nil, then make the NPC walk random. Well, now you're probably wondering, what is dot product? Dot product is basically checking the NPC's front, back, left, and right. That's literally dot product in this case. Now if we go ahead and go run the game or play the game, you can see that the NPC will chase us around. The workspace base plate is green as the NPC can see us. Then once we go through the wall, the NPC cannot track us no more. The base plate turns red and the NPC starts walking randomly. As soon as we show ourselves, the NPC will notice us and then try to chase us down. Great. There is one more thing to note. And function get closest player does not actually get the closest player. That's only because I did that. So in the next video, I can make it get the closest player and do something special to the NPC. Until then, stay tuned, and then you'll see part 3 coming out with the advanced NPC becoming even better than before.